Joining us now, OutKick host and Fox News contributor Tomi Lahren. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to talk to you guys, and I'm so glad that we're addressing this because I watched President Trump speak today and answer questions, and what I heard from him over and over again is, I want a partnership. I want to work with these mayors and these governors. I want them to call me, ask for help, and I'm happy to give them that help because I care about the people in these communities, and I don't see them as collateral damage and an ego trip. But that's exactly what Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker are doing. They're saying that the people that live and work in these communities, they don't mean as much, and their lives don't mean as much, and their businesses and their livelihoods don't mean as much as their egos and their presidential ambitions, which is certainly a choice, but not a good one.
Tomi, you know that I live in Chicago, and this is a hot topic for me. I think one of the big issues that I have is hearing the governor of Illinois tell residents like myself and other residents of Chicago that we heard speak a moment ago that they don't want help. I could tell you that people do want help. They want their city preserved. They want crime stopped. They want their businesses open. And they want real estate to stop having this absolute free-for-all. It's absolutely terrible.
Right, and even worse than that, he was asked by a reporter what he was going to do about those people that were shot and killed, if there's anything that he was going to do, and how bad it looked to have these crime stats and these deaths over every major holiday weekend, or really any weekend. And Governor Pritzker's response was, big cities have crime. So that tells me that he's telling the people in these cities and in his state that crime is inevitable, that lawlessness is inevitable. Yeah. If you happen to live in a big major city, well, again, I guess you're just collateral damage because it has to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. D.C. is a prime example.
Well, Tomi, you think about it, it's almost like we're supposed to build up a resistance to it, not if you're the mother and the father of a child that's murdered over the weekend that's supposed to be a holiday celebration.
This has been going on for years.
Yeah.
After a holiday weekend, there were children who were shot and murdered in the crossfire.
It started during Lightfoot's term, though. It really did. It really started to accelerate. Johnson, everybody thought was going to be a solution. It's been worse.
But, Tomi, if they don't want President Trump to send forces in, then why wouldn't they not stop talking and start walking and running and dashing and sprinting to stop the crime? If you don't want, he's making you look bad because you're allowing people to die.
This is a power struggle more than anything else. This isn't about saving lives or preserving the city. This is about who thinks they're in charge and saying, I'm going to sign an executive order, stopping the president of the United States from protecting American taxpayers that want the help.
And furthermore, Marcus, this is an easy win for Democrats, right? They're willing to die on some pretty dumb hills. Men and women's sports, illegal aliens staying in our country for as long as possible, and now this one. Well, crime is just inevitable in big cities. This is an opportunity for Democrats to find an area where they can work with President Trump and work with Republicans, but they refuse to do it because their egos are too big. And you hear Americans out there on the left and the right, they constantly say, we wish that Republicans and Democrats could work together. Well, President Trump is extending a hand and an olive branch, and they are swatting him away because they care more about themselves than they do about their cities and their states. They may never win an election again if this is going to be their tone. And I hope that the constituents who are living under this horrible rule, I hope that they understand that this is not inevitable. Decline is a choice, and choose wisely next time you go to vote.
Yeah. And they're not dying because all of these leaders have security details. It's their constituents who are dying, to whose funerals they never go to. But speaking of la resistance, over in L.A., Los Angeles, one city council member is railing against Home Depot, telling the people there to take their orange aprons elsewhere, accusing the company of being, quote, complicit.
You mean compliant?
Right, okay. With ICE raids. Taking to Instagram saying this is the council member. When your name becomes associated with terror and you refuse to speak, you're complicit. Home Depot has chosen power and profit over the working people who sustain it. They're, they're enforcing the law, Tomi.
Yeah, again, I don't know what planet these folks in LA live on. I hope to never visit that planet again, which is why I fled Los Angeles for the great red state of Tennessee. But I'll tell you this. When you come into this country illegally, you rob the United States government of the ability to properly vet you. We don't know who you are. We don't know why you're here. Maybe you want to come and work. Maybe you want to do something nefarious. Maybe you want to do both. We don't know. But you also rob yourself of the ability to live and work in peace and comfort. Because when you come to this country illegally, you'll work for less. You'll have to stand outside of a Home Depot trying to get money under the table. I don't want that for human beings. I want human beings to come to this country because they love it. They want to work here. They want to make it better. But you have to come the right way so that we can properly vet you and make sure that you are here indeed for the right reasons and to add to our country, not subtract
Tommy,
from it.
I think the other thing is we also want corporations to honor the rule of law. And when the President of the United States sends somebody in, corporations don't have the ability to just make decisions, oh, I'm not going to listen to the law. They have an obligation to make sure they protect their employees and protect their customers and follow the law.
Right. And you also don't aid and abet criminal activity, which is what illegal immigration clearly is. So I don't have a whole lot of hope for Los Angeles. But again, my earlier message, I hope the folks that are living and voting there, I hope they see who their council members and who their leaders are sticking up for. It's certainly not law-abiding Americans or legal immigrants, that's for sure.
Well, Gavin Newsom had one of his minions trolling me over the weekend.
Join the club. Join the club.
Yeah, rather than rebuilding Los Angeles or, calling the victims' families of people whose sentences he commuted late Friday. So people who were spending life in prison without parole, they're going to be paroled now. But screw the victims. That's the left. Tomi Lahren, great to see you.
Thanks, Tommy.